From a moment, and finally the time is now to shine.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, family, friends, frenemies, enemies, and foes? What's going on? I am that man that goes by the name of Clyde Rush, and welcome to the Light Body Podcast. I know you can be anywhere in the world. You can be on anybody else's podcast, so I appreciate you for spending a few moments here tonight or today or whatever time it is, wherever you are, and just spending a few moments just trying to continue on with this light body experience and this light body excursion journey, so to speak, on what it actually means to actually have that light body experience. And all I'm doing is sharing a perspective from the quantum body to physical alchemy to coherence and what those things actually mean relative to the body as far as the light body experience. Everybody has a different experience from one degree to another. And what does light actually mean? So in this particular episode, it's a continuation from what I was speaking as far as the metaphor of light as a symbol for knowledge and beliefs, and is deeply rooted in various cultures and philosophies. It often represents enlightenment, understanding, and the illumination of the mind. And I gave a few examples. I started with, giving what those 5 examples are, and there's another 5 that I want to complete tonight. The first one was talking about enlightenment, clarity, and insight. The next one was also hope and positivity, innovation and discovery, guidance and direction. And you can check out the other podcasts that I have. I think it's podcast 8, where I go into detail with each one of those different things are. But because of time, your time, my time, and our time, I just want to make sure that I do service and respect your time for showing up and give you this information as quickly as I can so you can continue on with your day or take something from this and use it. As always, as a podcast, we got to say like, share and comment and subscribe and all those different things. I said it, I'm asking you to do it. If you see something or you hear something that you like in here or you want to hear something in specific, then just put a comment down real quick. If you like it, check it off and just say that you like it and subscribe so you can get those notifications. And this way we can continue on, delivering you the type of content it is that's going to radically change your life and create this transformation and understand what light actually means. There's all kind of things that are going to be coming for this as a result of it. This guests are coming on here as well. We've had a couple, we have one so far, but more on the way. And you're a guest, I'm a guest, we a guest, so guess what? We're all guests up in the same place. Anyway, I'm going to continue on with part 2. And basically here it is. Revelation and truth. Light is associated with revealing the truths that were previously hidden in darkness, akin to how education and learning uncover new truths and perspectives. So I'll read it to you one more time. Revelation and truth. Light is associated to revealing truths that were previously hidden in darkness, akin to how education and learning uncover new truths and perspectives. So I also mentioned people pleasing and how when you're in the dark aspects about who you truly are to yourself, how does this relative to people pleasing? When we're not operating in our true self and our oneness for who we truly are, we tend to go on this quest and we say yes when we actually want to say no. But because we don't have the confidence and the belief in it is that we are, we tend to go along and get along with the thing it is that we truly don't want to do. But to keep the peace, we subject ourselves to people, places, and things that really don't serve us. And if the people who we were with recognize and realize that there was a self-interest that they actually had at your cost, they wouldn't do those things and actually be in those places. Nor would you go if you had the confidence in it is that who you truly are to be. So when we talk about the revelation of truth, it's what is or what does it actually take for you to realize your trueness, your oneness, your authenticity, the truth about who you truly are. That's an example of stepping up from the darkness of who you are by simply saying, no, I'm not going. It's a complete sentence, and I don't need an explanation about why I'm not going. again, doing those things to serve other people at our cost, what does that actually cost you? And more often than not, we tend to sit in the dark about who it is that we truly are, so that, again, so we can just fit in. When we talk about, those hidden places and those dark places, that's usually an aspect that's called the shadow self. All right. We can get into a whole nother theories about what the shadow self actually is. But those areas about yourself where you're not really confident about who it is that you are, some of your egotistical things are kind of sitting in that space and place where your shadow self or your dark self will be the one to say no. And more often than not, people don't necessarily understand that shadow aspect of who it is that they are. In order for there to be light, there's got to be dark. In order for there to be dark, there's got to be some light. Just like we have the sun for the day and the moon for the night, and we have the stars that shine bright. I'm not going to be a poetic situation this time, but I'm just letting you know that this is basically how it is. So it is the equation. And just like you have a light part of your body, you have a dark part of expression as well. And more often than not, we tend to put that darker side away, because that darker side, depending on who it is that we truly are and how that darkness actually manifests itself, depends on who it is that you are as far as the light aspect of your body. But trust and believe, there is an element of darkness to you. And again, darkness just means I just don't know. Ignorance, not ignorant, ignorance, where I just don't know. The light is the thing that provides that information, knowledge, and awareness for you to step from the darkness into the light. But it doesn't completely go away. It's still present there. It's just whether or not you recognize it, or whether or not you engage with that dark element of yourself. And more often than not, probably do in one capacity or another. But I'll do something as far as the shadow aspect of self on another show. But right now, we're talking about this light aspect. So we also want to talk about the next part, growth and development. Just as plants need light to grow, the metaphor suggests that human growth and development are nurtured by knowledge and enlightenment. Human growth and development are nurtured by that same metaphor as far as light, being knowledge and awareness, perspective, a different outlook, a different way of seeing things, a different perspective. The whole thing with this is you grow from a degree of insight based on the light that resonates within. When you turn on that light, it's a higher degree of frequency. It's a higher degree of understanding. It's a higher degree of awareness. It's a higher degree of intellect. Your perception, your imagination, your creativity resonates on that higher frequency, and it brings you up from that state of not knowing, integrating into the heart and essence of who it is that you truly are, with the masculine aspect of self, which is the intellect within the mind. So the heart, that feminine aspect, that feminine energy that everybody has, male, female, male, we all have it. It's whether or not we actually are in tune to it, and we recognize it, and we honor it. And when you honor it and that light ignites, you see things from a different perspective. You're more in balance. More often than not, people walk around with a barrier across the chest that keeps the brain and the heart from integrating. And this barrier that we actually have here is the place where people tend to people please, because we don't feel confident enough about ourselves, saying, no, I'm not going to do that, or yes, I am going to do that. But we tend to just go along to get along. We tend to fit in. So we just want to make sure that we speak those things that are the truth about who it is that we truly are. And we stop this impact of people pleasing. It's really important to understand how this thing actually goes along. So growth and development, one more time, is just as plants need light to grow. I don't know if you've ever noticed this or not, but if you have a plant, I'm a plant guy. I don't have a lot of plants, but I'm a plant guy. But at the same time, the leaves on your plant will start to face the light. Wherever the light shines bright the most in the place and space that the plant actually is in, the leaves will turn towards that light because it nurtures the plant to grow. I have a plant that's over the sink in my window. Yeah, over the sink, facing the window, and the leaves are all facing the window. It'd be different if they were facing the counter, but they're actually facing where the light comes in, which is that window. So the sun comes through that space and place. And those leaves are just sitting there like, hey, we want to get this light so we can grow. Same thing happens with you. Where do you get your light from? Where do you get your information from? That's going to feed this heart, feed this essence. So we get it through situations, we get it through circumstances, we get it through challenges, sometimes through stress, strain, and struggles. We can also read books. We can also interact with conversations with people. Life experiences a degree of light also. Whether or not something actually you feel is favorable for you or not, whether or not you feel something may not be the best of a situation for you, there's a learning modality in that specific aspiration for you. The question is you so emotionally charged that you can't separate the emotion from the information? And that's the place. When you can separate the emotion about how you feel because of a situation or circumstance and extract the knowledge from that, that's called wisdom. That's light. How did this work for me? How did it not? Not that it came to destroy me, but that it actually came to show me something about myself and who it is that I am or who it is that I'm not, based on how I came through. How did I grow through this experience? That's the growth and development aspect. You want to talk about the cultural and spiritual wisdom as far as light is central in many cultural and religious ceremonies, symbolizing the passing of wisdom and spiritual knowledge through generations. I'll go ahead and do one more time. Cultural and spiritual wisdom. Light is central in many cultural and religious ceremonies, symbolizing the passing of wisdom and spiritual knowledge through generations. What does that mean? Basically, it's a generational understanding. It's like a passing of a torch, a ceremony, a ritual, so to speak, where the elders used to come and they used to pass this information through stories and sharing and telling. But it's that same information that perpetuates the ideologies and the concepts and the beliefs of a culture to say, we're going to pass this information down to the young as they come up. There are different rituals, especially in Africa, where when a child was actually born, they held that child up to the light, to God, to say, listen, this child is being born. May you implant the information it is that you need through this ritual that we're doing as far as holding this child up. There were rites of passage programs that were actually, as far as Africa is concerned as well, where the guys are separated from the females and they were taught how to actually be. As a matter of fact, with the rites of passage programs, when you left from that rites of passage program as a young man, you did not return back home. You were on your quest. You didn't go through the rites of passage program and then turn around and come back home talking about, yeah, this is what happened with me today. The elders escorted you out into the field, and in that particular field or environment that you were in, you were taught what you needed to be taught to become the man. And as a man, during those particular times, you had that knowledge, you had that information, you had that light imparted on you because the elders of the community came together to bring up the child in the way that the child should go. That was the light. That was the cultural and religious ceremony symbolizing the passing of wisdom and spiritual knowledge through generation to generation so that the culture could be retained and maintained and not lost and distorted. Not like it is out here today, where the identity and true self is separated from the identity of people who think they are. They have a lie identity going on instead of an identity going on. So the question with that is there's been a dissemination of that cultural passing of the torch, so to speak. And that torch, again, symbolizing that light, that higher degree of awareness, that information that is perpetuated from culture to generation. But it's been lost and it's been distorted. And there's these false ideologies about what culture actually is. And you see the craziness that's going on out in the streets. So I don't even have to go into that with you. But at the same time, there were customs that were in place to keep the culture, to keep the generation intact so that they can grow up in the way that they ought to grow up to perpetuate that same thing. Next, transformation and change. Transformation and change. The transition from darkness to light is often seen as a metaphor for personal transformation as one's mindset evolves from ignorance to understanding. I'm going to read it for you one more time. Transformation and change. The transition from darkness to light is often seen as a metaphor for personal transformation as one's mindset evolves from ignorance to understanding. I like to attach this one to the metamorphosis that actually happens when a caterpillar goes into that chrysalis and it turns into a transformative butterfly. Here's the interesting thing about this. During that process, that caterpillar is woven into this silky substance that's created from within and it sits inside this chrysalis, right? And what ends up happening is it resorts back to this liquefied substance, right? The identity of a caterpillar is no longer a caterpillar. The DNA structure in the caterpillar has the transformation of a butterfly. Now, here's the thing. If it didn't have the identity, if it didn't have the light, if it didn't have the knowledge, if it didn't have the level of understanding, if it didn't have the ability for growth, if it didn't have those same cultural substance that was passed on to it generation by generation, you would never have the transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly. What I'm stating to you is this: the identity of that caterpillar is gone. The caterpillar can no longer be a caterpillar and be a butterfly, which is why they changed the name. Henceforth, the transformation occurs for that caterpillar to transition from being a caterpillar to a butterfly. The mindset has to shift from being a caterpillar to the new identity of being a butterfly. It literally comes out by struggling through that chrysalis, through time, generational time, to become the butterfly. It says, if you disturb and try to help this caterpillar come out before its time, it'll never turn out to be a butterfly. It'll actually die because it did not grow through the stress, strain, and struggle of breaking out of the very thing that contained it. That is transformation. That is a process. So as we are. When you decide that you're more than you think you are, more than you allow what they say you are to be or not be, and you go into your chrysalis and you go into the process of transformation, and that mind is liquefied into transformative states and essences to come together with the oneness of who it is it truly is in transformation to become something better than it was in the very beginning. Along the way, you sit and you toil through the vertical way of what actually that chrysalis actually substances itself as. It's in this vortex of transforming to become what we see as a butterfly. And it hangs on for a little while. I don't know if you've ever seen this actually occur. I know I have. I know y'all don't know I've watched stuff like this, but I actually do. And it just sits there and it gets the idea of I am not what I was, but who it is that I am based on the information that was embedded in me. And I know I'm not a caterpillar anymore because I've passed away with that. And I've transitioned into this transformative butterfly. And now I can actually fly. But before I take flight, let me exercise a little bit. Exercise is a natural thing. Let me spread my wings a little bit. The same thing happens with a bird when it's in its nest. I don't know if you've ever seen this or not, but these are things that I happen to check out for some reason. Who knew I'd be talking about it today, but perhaps that's the reason why. When a bird, now I know everybody's heard this, when a bird in the family of a bird is like, hey, listen, it's time for you to fly. The bird ain't sitting there talking about, nah, I ain't never gonna fly. The bird is like, whatever this process is. And they prop that bird up right on the nest. And when the time comes after that process, that transformation process, when it's sitting inside that egg and the nurturing and the protection actually comes so that they can actually grow and develop in their darkness. And from the darkness, it comes into the light, the ignorance of not knowing, how do I fly? It's embedded in your genetic code. So you already know how to fly. You just don't know that you know how to fly. And it's not like that chick is sitting there figuring out, how am I going to people please and just kind of hang out with some hens and everybody else? It's like, no, I got wings. I can actually fly. I just don't know that I can until I get into a position, situation, or circumstance where I need to learn how to fly on the way down. So that little chick is pushed up out of that, out of that nest. And all that it knew, all that it thought has to come online. Because if it doesn't, guess what? it doesn't survive. And I've seen some little, I've seen some that didn't quite make it because they weren't ready. Maybe they just didn't believe or just didn't know or just didn't understand the information, or they didn't pass the rites of passage on the way down. How many times have we gone through a situation or circumstance where we didn't learn what it was that we needed to know, and we went through this repetitive thing, or we bumped our head on the way down to the ground, but because we looked up, we were able to get back up and go through the situation and grow from it? Well, maybe bird didn't get a chance to do that. Maybe caterpillar didn't get a chance to do that. But guess who does have that opportunity to do that? You do. You have that second chance. You have that opportunity to stand up for what's really true for you, your authentic self. Stand up and be the light that shines bright, that illuminates and can resonate through any situation, stress, strain, or struggle, no matter what the circumstance is. You can sit in your stillness, silence, and solitude and be the best version of yourself on the way to impact in this world just by the sheer essence that you're here with a signature frequency, signature information, a purpose, promise, and a plan for your life just as you are through your troubles. The fact that you made it through means you have a story to tell. You can shine that light, shine that information on somebody who may be in a state of ignorance because they just don't know. They don't know that there was somebody else that went through the same thing that they went through. Why? Because you're people pleasing, sitting in the back, in the corner, in the side, as opposed to standing up in the front where you will be seen and where you will be heard. Why? Because it's your time. That's why. Because it's your time to shine. Because it's your time to let your light illuminate and become the light of information for this world in such a way that only you can do the thing it is that you do. That's what transformation and change is resonating on. Connection and unity. Connection and unity. Light rays spreading out can symbolize the dissemination of knowledge and the connection it creates among people, fostering unity and shared understanding. Let's say that one more time. Connection and unity. Light rays spreading out can symbolize the dissemination of knowledge and the connection it creates among people, fostering unity and shared understanding. Sometimes you see light and you see it as rays going out of something. You may see it coming in, but that's usually when you talk about that crown chakra, when you see light coming in, because it's actually a connection to God. At the same time, if you talk about chakra energy, another time we could talk about chakra energy, all right? And we will go over that chakra, all of that stuff, but not right now. Right now, we're just talking about this light that emanates out. And it's usually about going outward, because that's what happens when that light comes on. It shines out and it brightens up the dark place in the dark space. So when you see that, it's a symbol to say that there is some light that's resonating in. Well, guess what? You have the opportunity to disseminate your light by opening up what is our throat chakra and speaking the truth. Not just randomly talking about some nonsense or some frivolous thing that really has no relevance or place in the space and place that you're actually in, but the fact that you actually have something to contribute to this humanity place that we're actually in, based on your talent, skills, and abilities that's already been placed inside you at the inception of your birth, while you were still in a dark place, coming through the birth canal to the light. And at the same time, you went through your metamorphosis, you went through your change. And because you went through your change and you went through those weeks of processing and twisting and turning and integrating and understanding who it is that you truly are, your five senses, see, hear, smell, taste, touch, were actually activated while you were inside that place, where you knew the sound of your mom, you knew the sound of your father, you knew the sound of family members, you knew the sound of environments, you shook when something startled you. You also were fed through that umbilical cord. So we have a whole multitude of different situations and circumstances that was happening while you were in that state, and out of that dark place that was void of light, you still had light that was coming into your body. That was knowledge and information. You just didn't know how to process it. And your body was still soft and malleable. The brain was still functioning and operating, because at that particular time, the heart and coherence between the brain was functioning and operating. The thing with it is you were being set and prepared to step into this place with an assignment and a promise and a plan to do something that can change this world based on you just showing up. But somewhere along the way, between birth and the age of 6 or 7, maybe a couple of things went awry. Maybe a couple of things went to the side. Maybe a couple of things went straight or right. I'm not saying one way or the other way. I'm just saying who you are today, when you turn on your light, allows you to impact this world in such a way you can radically create that change. And that's what the whole thing is all about. Understanding that there's an intention, there's a specific reason why you were actually born into this space and place at the time that you actually came forth. Very important to understand that. That's what that connection and unity is all about. Light rays spreading out can symbolize the dissemination of knowledge and the connection it creates among people, fostering unity and shared understanding. Listen, with this being said, these were examples to illustrate how the metaphor of light is powerful in expressing the importance and the knowledge and beliefs of shaping mindsets, facilitating human growth. Knowledge, light, human growth, no separation between it. It is about that light that shines bright within the body. It is about that knowledge. It is about that frequency of information that you have that allows you to be the best version of yourself, just like you are. It's not about people pleasing and being in places and spaces that don't really serve you, or you can't even serve because you're sitting there reducing yourself down to something as opposed to stepping out and being the greatest version of who it is that you truly are. Because you don't believe, or because you don't believe that your light shines bright, you tend to dim it down so that you can fit into the places that don't serve you at the cost of who you truly are. How much are you willing to pay to keep your light dimmed so somebody else can shine over you? Why would you do that? It's time to stop the people pleasing. Step up and become the best version of yourself without those folks. Elevation by separation. The people, places, things that no longer serve you, got to be willing to separate from those things because they're weighing you down, and you're dimming yourself just so you can fit in to a smaller place when you were never designed to fit in. You were designed to stand out. So with that being said, that is the metaphor of light, as it is a symbol for knowledge and beliefs deeply rooted into various cultures and philosophies. That's what it's all about. There's part 1. This is part 2. Brother is done. We finished this up, and check in next week, and we're going to continue on with something that'll really enlighten your spirit and your soul. Once again, I want to thank each and every single one of y'all for showing up and for being present in this place and in this space at this time. I know you could have been anywhere that you chose to be, but you decided to spend your time here. And I am humbly thankful for the fact that you did come in and spend your time here. If this is your first time, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you put a check-in saying that you like it, or make sure you put a comment down below. And as always, share this with a friend if you liked it. Share it with a friend if you didn't like it, and find out why that friend liked it and you didn't, and have a conversation, and come back and share it with me, and let's figure this whole thing out. In the meantime, between time, peace, blessings, prosperity, and abundance. Namaste. You enjoy the rest of your day. One love to you. I am out. Peace.